My story was a long story. Uh, Being in the wrong place at the wrong time and being in the wrong things at that time in my life. Where I was a drug dealer. I was also, once I was a pimp. I'm not proud of it, but it did come into being part of my life at that time. And this was back in the 70's, and learned a big lesson that if you want the good things in life, you got to struggle and go for it. Don't do it to try and get over things easily. And that taught me a big lesson. So it was one of my worst experiences in my life. I almost lost my life. I did. I had 5 operations from the gunshot wound, and I'm just thankful to God that I'm here today and talk about it. Basically how I got into the pimping life was more like I was actually invited to become one to this young lady I had met, and that's where it all started. She wanted me as her pimp, and I took advantage of it, and at that time I wasn't really interested in it, but somehow I fell into it because it was given to me. So that's how I became a pimp. But the drug dealing was when I got hung up on drugs. I was doing heroin. I was getting high a lot on heroin, doing cocaine. And I was invited by other people to meet other people, and that's how I got involved with the drug dealing. And then I once met a group of people, and I had no idea who they were, but they were actually Chinese mafia. There were 3 characters I had met, 3 of them. They asked me to meet them at this condominium place, and they told me where to go, and it was a laundromat of the place. I went in at 7 a.m. in the morning, all by myself, not thinking. I went in and met these 3 guys. I had the material, the money for the material, they had the material, and we made the exchange. They gave me the coke, and I gave them the money. But then after, as I was walking out of the laundromat, they had left before me. So things just started going wild in my head about whether I'm going to be set up or not. So I was thinking that once they left, somehow they would follow me. I was driving, and that they would somehow set me up during that time on the road and take me off, or shoot me and take the merchandise back. So that was a pretty scary experience I had. Once I got in the car, I thought to myself, and I said, man, what were you thinking? It wasn't something that was part of me, but since it was given to me, I took the advantage of doing it and making a lot of money on it. So, well, being a pimp is not easy, because you have to always keep focus on your lady and make sure that she's not, lying to you about how much money she's making and so on, And it's hard because you have to keep your eyes open, and then you have others who may want to take your woman from you, other pimps. So it is kind of difficult in some ways. It's fun, you get to go places, have fun, enjoy, the party life, and going to different interesting restaurants and meeting other people, and parties and so on. I wouldn't do it again. No, absolutely not. Nah, I wouldn't. No way. Nah, it's not good. No, I think pimping to me is not. The female is a very important part in our lives, so we shouldn't abuse that. The ladies are what God created for us to enjoy, and so I don't want to enjoy a lady by selling her to other, people for money. No. So I don't believe in that, and I advise the young men out there that are looking for an easy way out Don't do it, not even drugs, nothing. Study and get it together and become a real man. I knew this guy who went home with a woman. He was a prostitute, and they had been looking for her. And somehow they followed him and her to where he lived. And the people that were looking for her, because she owed money, they killed him and her in his own apartment. So that's a good lesson to be learned. No, I regret it. I do. I truly regret it. I wouldn't do it again. And it's something that was just at that time. I wasn't mature enough. I wasn't together. So definitely. I got caught with cocaine. I was in an after-hours club called the Liquid Smoke. That's where a lot of pimps and their ladies used to hang out. And I was there. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And as I was on my table, everybody was sitting around, and we were all partying, and everybody was coking up. And before you knew it, the police raided the place. There were a lot of undercovers, and machine guns were pulled out, and they had the SWAT team in there. So that was my first offense, and they charged me with a misdemeanor because it was my first offense. So after that one, no more. I said I stayed clean. I never went back to jail or anything. The 70s was pretty wild. The biggest thing was a lot of drugs during those days. A lot. I mean, you name it, everybody was doing it. And then towards the end of the 70s, early on, like the 80s, that's when crack came in. Because the 70s was base, where you would just cook the cocaine with baking soda, boil it with a little water in a vial, and then you remove the cut of the coke. Then it turns into a little rock, which is, they call it pure coke. And then you smoke it. But then crack came in the early 80s, where everybody was just using chemicals and making it was cheaper because cocaine was a lot more expensive to make as base. So. But now, this time, we're talking about the 2000, it's more like struggling, a lot of fear, a lot of bombing, a lot of countries fighting, people getting killed, innocent people. Malls are getting blown up, schools are getting shut down, and a lot of kids are just going crazy, and I find it's the most horrifying time in our lives, the year 2000. Especially now in these days, the last 4 or 5 years has been really bad, really bad. So, I mean, I'm trying to, stay close to God, continue to have that relationship with God in my life, and teaching my kids. I have 3 kids, and I keep them grounded. And, they do their own thing, but they know where they come from, and they know, the relationship that they know I have with God, and so they have the same.